Hey, welcome. Watch this video if you want completely have understanding of 12 psychology disorder that you must know. I will explain it super easy to understand for you with interesting storytelling so you will not bored. Alright, let's get it. Seemed to have it all straight A's, captain of the cheer squad, and dating the star quarterback. But behind closed doors, she was battling a dark secret. After weekend parties, Sara would lock herself in the bathroom and stuff herself with leftovers until she was almost sick. Then she'd stick her fingers down her throat to throw it all up, terrified of gaining even an ounce. No matter how skinny she got, it was never enough. Sara's nights were consumed with this cycle of binging and purging, trying desperately to take control of her life in some small way. James always felt like an outsider, but when the whispers started, his world broke apart completely. Scary, shadowy figures taunted and threatened him in creepy tones that only James could hear. He withdrew even more, fearful of strangers plotting against him. James' thoughts grew disordered, and he became convinced his food was poison. His family begged him to get help, but how could he trust anyone? The line between reality and James' paranoid hallucinations was impossibly blurred. He felt completely alone and terrified in a world that seemed intent on harming him. Staring at her reflection, Vera focused on every tiny flaw, mole, a stray hair, the size of her nose. She spent agonizing hours putting on makeup, but still hated the image staring back. Pictures of models with airbrushed perfection fueled Vera's obsessive comparisons. She couldn't trust anyone's reassurances, they just didn't see how ugly she was. Cosmetic surgery provided temporary relief, but soon Vera spiraled, certain another body part was defective. Her obsessive fixation on her appearance consumed her thoughts, destroying any confidence she once had. Lynn's hair looked perfectly styled, but only she knew her secret shame. Bad days left her restless, picking endlessly at split ends until whole strands came loose in her fingers. The urges overwhelmed her until Lynn pulled out chunks quickly, then swept them away before anyone noticed. She stared blankly as her scalp bled, littered with ragged patches. But the relief washing over her was stronger than the pain. Later, Lynn scrubbed her hands while trying to erase the evidence, praying no one would find out. Derek told himself he was just scratching an irritated spot, but one nick from his nails left an open wound. The scab begged to be picked and peeled. He'd dig his nails in, finding comfort in the pain and blood that followed. Soon Derek's skin was a roadmap of cuts and scars from his raw, compulsive scratching. He knew the scabs and scars drew stares, but the urge to scratch and scrape overwhelmed him. Isolating himself was the only way to hide his bizarre problem that provided a momentary escape despite the physical damage left behind. Gloria's home was overflowing with 30 years of accumulated papers, collections, and clothes. Every surface was covered with unstable piles. Narrow goat trails connected the rooms, carved out from decades of hoarding. Gloria's heart raced at the thought of throwing away even the smallest scrap. Each item held meaning. Old letters transported her to happy memories, and forgotten keepsakes represented hopes and dreams. Parting with any possession felt like cutting off a piece of her soul. The clutter was consuming her home and her mind, but Gloria couldn't let go. Blake knew he had a problem when he started taking OxyContin stolen from his mom's medicine cabinet. The pills made him feel invincible, erasing all his worries. But soon Blake needed more and more just to feel normal. He drained his savings buying pills off the street, becoming evasive and isolated. Blake told himself he could quit anytime, but the awful withdrawal symptoms always came roaring back. Even as the pills took over his life, destroying his health, finances, and closest relationships, Blake believed the next pill would make it all better. Rahul told himself it was just a bit of fun, but soon found himself at the casino every weekend, betting his whole paycheck on poker and slots. Even when Rahul won big, the money quickly disappeared, fueling the next gambling binge. He lied to his wife about where he went, racking up credit card debt to keep gambling. Rahul thought the jackpot that would solve everything was just one bet away. But when debt collectors called, Rahul knew his weekend fun had become a destructive addiction, hijacking his life. Lisa dreaded going to bed. She tossed and turned for hours, her worried thoughts spinning. No matter how exhausted she felt, sleep remained out of reach. Days became a blur of fatigue and grumpiness. Well-meaning advice about warm milk and calming music made Lisa want to scream. Didn't they understand she had tried everything? She just wanted rest to quiet her racing mind. As another empty night ticked by, Lisa watched the clock slowly count down to morning, feeling like a prisoner trapped in the dark. It started with just a taste, but the floodgates opened and Tyler couldn't stop. He ate up entire packages of cookies, boxes of cereal, pounds of cheese, anything within reach. Tyler stuffed himself long past comfort until his stomach hurt. Afterwards, waves of shame crashed over him. But he knew tomorrow the urge would return, a hungry feeling that could only be satisfied by the mindless eating of more and more food. Food was Tyler's drug, providing a brief high that made his problems fade away. But in the end, only self-hatred remained. Anthony seemed locked in his own world, avoiding eye contact and rarely speaking, except to echo phrases he had heard. Loud noises caused him to melt down. He lined up his toy cars for hours, throwing fits if his routine was disrupted. Anthony's teacher said he had autism and struggled to communicate. He found comfort in repetitive behaviors, keeping the world predictable. Anthony saw and experienced the world much differently than his classmates. He just wanted someone to understand him and help him make sense of the chaotic world that overwhelmed his senses. Alyssa dreaded work conferences, often pretending to be sick to avoid attending. Speaking up in meetings caused her heart to race and palms to sweat. During after-work events, she hid in the corner making awkward small talk. Alyssa was sure her co-workers judged her every word and action. Her constant anxiety about being critiqued left her isolated. An extreme fear of rejection overshadowed every social interaction. Alyssa secretly wished for friendship but could only watch from afar, trapped inside her huge shell of distrust, being on guard, and social inhibition.
All done. Really hope you caught the vibe of my video. If you enjoyed it, a subscribe and like would be awesome. Thanks a bunch for supporting the channel.